Sound check. Can you hear me? I'm doing a Facebook Live today for Hoosier Academies and my cousin Christina Ingram Armstrong. I'm doing a check here to see if her students are able to see me. I was supposed to be on YouTube, but for some reason they've raised the threshold to 1,000 people, subscribers. I don't know. But I'm here now. So, can you hear me, Christina? Give me a thumbs up if you can. My buddy Don is on here. This is going to be widely broadcast now. I'm just this is supposed to be a kind of a tour and tutorial for Hoosier Academies and my cousin Christina, who teaches there. So, but now I'm getting some friends from all walks. So I'm just going to be talking a little bit about Pigasus today, my personal journey through business, and giving a tour of our studio. So thank you, Emily. I'm feeling a little bit better. It's coming off a sinus infection here. Still waiting to hear from my cousin if this is going to work for her students today. It's a rainy day here in Bloomington, in Indiana in general. I drove in from Ohio this morning, which was a lot of fun. I spent the weekend with my son, helped him make a little movie, which was a real joy. And now I'm here. I'm still here. I'm just going to try and text my cousin quickly. And I'm back. So I'll just keep vamping here a little bit. Today I'm giving a little talk and tutorial for Hoosier Academies. My cousin Christina is teaching there, and some of her students will be joining us today. And I'm going to talk a little bit about my personal background and journey, a little bit about Pigasus, and to give a little tour for those watching and take some questions. So it should be so much fun. And got some friends joining today, so that's good and fun. In the meantime, I will take any questions you have about anything. I have answers to a lot of questions, pressing things, both personal, global, social. And I guess for those of you looking right now, I can show you, does this thing flip around? Can I do that on this? No sound. Can anyone hear me? Can you all hear me? Can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? I'm not answering that question, Robert. Emily says thumbs up. I can be heard. Does this thing flip around? Or no? It's just my direction? Has anyone done this before? Christina, other people are telling me they can hear me. Can you hear me? Is Christina watching? Oh, there it is. You're right. Thank you, Emily. So we're about to hang our new poster here. We've got movie number 1, movie number 2, and Bindu's on its way. So that's exciting. We just got a whole new order of swag, which will be online soon. So if you want a coffee mug, a water bottle, there's Christina. Christina says, we are here. And so far, Christina, I think it's you. Are your students with us? Emily says she needs a sweatshirt. You'll have to talk to Grace Bennett. She has my key to the cage. And is taking inventory, so I'm letting go of the swag orders. App sharing. Christina is apparently really tech savvy. Who knew? I was supposed to be doing this on YouTube, but apparently YouTube has some new threshold where you can't go live unless you have 1,000 subscribers. Isn't that strange? I don't even do YouTube. Christina says, they are with me. Are they all with you? Are you ready for me to begin? Thank you, Robert. We're pretty proud of that one. Thumbs up to keep going, Christina. Start from the beginning. Yes, she says. Okay. Hey there, Hoosier Academies. My name is John Armstrong, and thank you for the switch here. Apparently, I was going to do YouTube live, which I'd never done before, but apparently you need 1,000 subscribers to go live on YouTube, which, seems silly. But anyway, I'm glad we were able to connect this morning. As I was saying to some of my friends who are watching, including my cousin, who is apparently, I have two cousins now. I have Christina, who's an instructor for Hoosier Academies. My cousin Chris is on there. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about my personal work, a little bit about Pigasus, and do a tour of our studio for some students at Hoosier Academies and my cousin Christina Ingram Armstrong down in Evansville, who is facilitating today. So first of all, hello, my name is John Armstrong. I am from Brownsburg, Indiana originally. I graduated high school there in 1996, came to Bloomington, went to Indiana University as a first-generation college student, and floundered a little bit until I could kind of, find my way. Back then, college was a little cheaper, so you could kind of do that, I started in psychology, then auditioned for music school, became a vocal performance major, eventually found musical theater as my degree program. I went out to the professional world for a while and did some musical theater touring, that kind of stuff, and went back to Bloomington to get my master's in acting. So I kind of ran the gamut in the theater world, and when I graduated my master's program, I was about 29 years old, almost 30, and embarking on what I thought would be a future career in the theater, which was maybe a little foolhardy, but that's where my passion was, and that's what I had to do. So when I was in graduate school, though, I played poker a lot. That was back when Texas Hold'em was a real thing. And a bunch of our grad school buddies would get together to play poker. And one straggler underclassman, undergraduate by the name of Zachary Spicer. And back then we would do plays together. We would act together. We had a lot of fun together. And then our lives kind of went on their own paths. And after graduate school, as I said, I went to New York. And my personal journey kind of took me a lot of places. And, sometimes you think you're on a path that is forward, this is the direction you're going, and then life throws something at you, and you got to make a left turn. And so I made a left turn, and but then when you make that left turn, I always say that life is kind of like a first-person shooter video game, where you're like going forward, and then when you turn left, the whole game turns around, and then that's forward again. So there's only one direction in life, and that's forward, walking through the open door. So I moved back to the Midwest. I took a job teaching college in Ohio, and thought I would kind of just go into academics. And then another turn in my life, and that sent me back to New York. Never thought I'd end up back in New York. Even after graduate school, I didn't think I'd end up back in New York, but you go the direction that life tells you. Is this good enough, Christina? I'm rambling a little bit, so you can just throw me some text and be like, all right, moving along. I ended up back in New York in 2014. And again, was kind of getting back to my acting career and reconnected with that straggling undergraduate, Zachary Spicer. Zach had had a great career as an actor on Broadway and television, and he really wanted to break into movies. And he said he was tired of waiting for other people to cast him and stuff and auditioning and doing the rat race. And he's like, I'm just going to produce my own movie. I want to produce it with my friends, and I want you to be my business partner. And at that point, I was like, I don't know what that means. I'd never been on a movie set. And by this time, guys, like, I'm 35 years old, but, life has taken me on this journey. So I just said, okay, I don't know how to do that, and I don't have any money, but let's see if we can figure it out. And so we had this script. It was written by our dear friend, Paul Schulberg. It was loosely based on the true story of his father. And Paul was, as a tribute to his father, determined to direct it. Zach wanted to star in it. And we set about trying to figure out how to make a movie. The movie-making process itself, the actual filming, when you get people together, you get the crew together, you have the script, you figure out your schedule, all that, like getting everyone to come together, create something. That's hard, but that's actually the easy part. The hard part is raising money, finding the cast, finding the crew, where are you going to shoot, how are you going to get everyone to those locations, where are you going to put them, feed them, where are you going to get your gear from. We started realizing there was a lot we didn't know about this. And the first step was like, how are we going to raise $500,000 to make a movie? And so we kind of came up with this strategy. We said, well, we're from Indiana originally, both Zach and I. Zach is from Greencastle. And we said, hey, if we go make this movie in Indiana, where movie making doesn't happen because of the lack of favorable tax legislation, and if anyone has questions about that later, I can talk about it. If we go make a movie there, maybe we could drum up support. Maybe we could raise money. Maybe we can get deals and discounts, and maybe we can make that happen. So that was kind of the strategy for how can we get one movie made. And there was a lot of learning along the way. We had to learn about, how do you even start an LLC? You had to start a company. How do you start an LLC? How do you physically raise money? Like, what do you need legally to be able to raise money? So we had to learn a little bit about securities. We had to register a security with the SEC. We had to figure out how to get together investor documents. So there was a lot of stuff that we didn't know how to do that they certainly didn't teach us in theater school. But we found that people are generally really generous with their information if you just ask. So we just started asking people, talking to lawyers, talking to securities people, how do you do this? And the greatest asset we had was being completely naive, because we didn't have to pretend that we knew the answers to these questions. A lot of times when people go into business for themselves, or in any discipline or any walk of life they choose, they feel like they have to posture and pretend that they have all the answers, but we didn't know. And so we weren't afraid to ask questions. So when I'm talking to students, that's the point I always really, really hit on, is that don't be afraid. I always say there are dumb questions, but there's no shame in asking them. So I always try to emphasize that. And also with students, I want to emphasize that it was that connection I made in school that really got this started. And the best connections you make in life are the people sitting right next to you. So you have to show up for those group assignments. You got to contribute to your group projects. You got to get your work done so people can look at you and think that you're someone I can rely on. So somehow, through this strategy of making your first movie, we got the money together. We used Zach's connections to get a really great casting director. That was kind of our unfair advantage for most independent filmmakers, is that we could get our script to a good casting director. And somehow we got a great cast together and we made our first movie. That movie was The Good Catholic. It stars Danny Glover, John C. McGinley, from most people know from the TV series Scrubs, Zach, of course, and a wonderfully talented actress named Ren Schmidt. Produced, and every frame of it was filmed right here in Bloomington. And we also were able to bring on executive producer David Anspaugh, who directed Hoosiers and Rudy, who was a great mentor for us through that process. The Good Catholic did pretty well. Won a couple of festivals and got picked up for global distribution, which was all, we had to answer those questions too. How do you find a distributor? How do you get a sales agent? How do you sell a movie? All these things we didn't know, but they all happened. And now through the end of the year, you can watch The Good Catholic on Netflix. So make sure you do. It's a 90-minute movie. You'll be pleasantly surprised that it's actually really good. A lot of people are like, oh, is this independent film going to be any good? And it's actually really, really great. Charlie, what's up, man? I was listening to you. Charlie Meckling from Straight No Chasers watching. I was listening to your albums just today, my friend. I'll explain later what I'm doing, but I'm talking to some students. Feel free to, plug in, plug out. So anyway, we made The Good Catholic, which that film, the strategy, this Indiana strategy, was just a way to get one film done. And in a lead up to the release of The Good Catholic, we thought we need to get another movie ready to go. We need to have another movie ready to go, use the momentum to raise more money to get the second film off the ground. And we also had to think of another way to do it. Because raising money for things like this is really hard. It's highly speculative, but very rewarding and exciting. And we wanted to, instead of just raising money for one movie, we thought we would try to raise money for an entire slate of movies by creating a private equity fund. This information kind of came up as we were talking to different types of investors. People were saying, hey, most people invest in more than one thing. They diversify their investment. We said, well, we got tons of movies we want to make. And they said, we should start a fund. So we did, the Indiana Film Fund. With the Indiana Film Fund, we made what was our second movie, the first one of the fund. That film is right here. It's called Ms. Whitelight. That film was also written and directed by Paul Schulberg. It stars a wonderful, I see Ron Cephas Jones on here. He'll recognize this guy, Mr. John Ortiz, starred in this film alongside the amazingly talented Roberta Colindrez. Zach acted for us again, and the film also featured Judith Light. We filmed that movie also entirely in Bloomington. And at that time, what was a strategy for one movie really became a mission for our company, which was to bring film to an area that doesn't have it. You see a need, you fill that need. To embed ourselves in a community and to create something of value for that community. And we thought by doing so, maybe that community would rally around us and we could get this done. So in 2017, think about this. Moved back to Bloomington and back to New York in 2014. Had my first conversation with Zach, zero experience. Fall of 2014. 2015, how do we make this movie? Figured it out. Filmed the movie in 2016. Released the movie in 2017. Filmed a second movie in 2017, and I moved back to Bloomington to run our company. So it's been just over 5 years that this has happened, and I'm only partway through this story, and I don't even know how long I've been talking. I'm not short for words, Christina, so you just start to cut me off anytime. So I moved back to get things going, and we made our second film. Around that time, making a film is tough. It takes a long time, takes a lot of money, a lot of prep, and we were making about one film a year. We were preparing for our third film, which we made in co-production in 2018 called Miseducation of Bindu. And we realized that we really wanted to do some more work. We needed to keep relevant and not just come on the radar once a year with a feature film. So what ended up happening is we started a nonprofit company. Oh, I should say this. Our film company is called Pigasus Pictures. It's like Pegasus, like a flying horse, but it is a flying pig. We have flying pigs all over this building, and I will try to point them out to you as I give you a tour. Pigasus Pictures. Our nonprofit company, which is now a registered 501c3, is called the Pigasus Institute. And through the Institute, the first thing we did was a statewide high school screenwriting competition. But the idea was that we would pick a winning screenplay, short screenplay from a high school student, but we would bring a film crew to their town and make the movie. I love telling this story to students too, because I always say, how do you start a, why a pig, Christina asks. I'll let you know in a second. So I said, we're having a competition. Okay, what do you need in order to be able to have a competition? How do you get people to know about it? How do you make it happen, So I often ask students in a live setting, I say, what's the first thing you need? And some people always say, you need money. And I say, no. Money's never an excuse to not get started. You have to push an idea or a vision forward. And if you do that, and if you believe in it and you can rally people, then resources will show up eventually. But the first thing you need is a place for people to go to get information and to submit their screenplays, right? So we needed a website. All right, website. Pretty easy. Create a website, figure out how we could attach that to, a Google Drive and be able to collect screenplays. Okay, so now we got a screenplay. Now we have a website. Then I ask students, I say, how do you let people know that you're having a competition? And first thing they say, social media. I say, well, yes, yeah, you can tell everyone on social media that you're having a contest, but only the people that follow you are going to find out about that. And you can't just, sit on a hill and wave a flag and hope people see it. How do you reach people? How can we let students know? And they would say, oh, go to schools. And I was like, yes, I could go to schools. We're going to do that too. You know how many high schools there are in the state of Indiana? And that answer is thousands of high schools. So then I said, what's the best way? And they were like, school districts. I was like, think bigger. And someone's like, the State Board of Education. I said, that's right. It's like, if I could get the State Board of Education to announce to teachers in the state of Indiana that we're having a competition, then I could let everybody know. So I Googled it. I Googled the Indiana State Board of Education. I found the communications director. His name was also John. And I called him up. And I said, hey, John, my name's John. I'm having a competition for high school students. And we're going to bring a film crew to a kid's town and make a short film with them. Can you help us get the word out? He said, that's amazing. We'd love to do that. So he put in an announcement in the newsletter to every high school teacher in the state of Indiana. Now we have a contest. So from that point, then I can take this information and start going to radio, television, just emailing them, writing a little press release, emailing people, having a competition. Here's the website. Here's the link to the State Board of Education. And then suddenly people want to interview you. People want to get notice in the newspaper to let students know that there's this opportunity out there. So suddenly we had a contest. And we got dozens and dozens of submissions from the north end of the state to the bottom. And we picked a winner. Now, we still don't have the money for this project. But, as I said, money's never an excuse to not get started. So we picked a winner. And her name was Kira Daniels. She lives in Madison, Indiana, way down on the south tip of Indiana, right on the river. Beautiful town. And I went down there. And who should I talk to? Well, some first stops. Chamber of Commerce, Arts Alliance, Community Foundation, Mayor's Office, all these people who are community leaders who want to, I think, who would be interested in something like this. So I sat down with them and I said, hey, we had a competition. You have a talented young lady in this town, and we like to produce this movie for her. We're working hard to raise money, but we need some help. The town had a town hall and raised $20,000 to produce this movie. It was life-changing for us, let alone for Kira. We went down there, we spent a week, we filmed over 3 days and made this film called Through the Window, which you can now watch on PegasusPictures.com. And so now, not just a vision for a company, but a life's work started to form of being a regionally focused, community-geared company that does for-profit work, nonprofit work, and has a a vision and a mission for, for its work, and it adds value. So people have started rallying around it. As I said, we've now made 3 films. I should tell you, okay, Ms. White Light, our second film, we filmed 2017. It premiered at the South by Southwest Film Festival earlier this year, which was a huge accomplishment for us. It also just won the Torino, Italy Film Festival, both the press award and the audience award, which is really exciting. Now some foreign distributors are interested as well as domestic. So that film will release next year. Then we have the Miss Education of Bindu that stars David Arquette. That one will release next year as well. We're in pre-production for our 4th film that we're making here in Indiana, again, down in, I can't really tell you where yet because it's not announced, but it's going to be very exciting. We've done our high school competition, which we call Project Pigasus, now 3 times. We just launched it for the 4th time, and it's open now. So if you know any high school kids interested in screenwriting, please have them go to the website, www.projectpigasus.org, to submit, and it's there. So I moved back to Indiana with the idea that I could, hopefully, that somehow I would be able to support myself producing movies, which is an absurd idea if you think about it. Most people are afraid from Indiana are afraid to move to a coast, and take that kind of risk. But moving back to Indiana was was a huge risk, for me. But I believed in it, and I thought it was a great way to go. And once I did, something really awesome happened. We got on the radar of the largest employer here in Bloomington, a medical device company called Cook. Cook is a multi-billion dollar worldwide medical device company. And they're really interested in improving quality of life here in Bloomington, specifically through arts and culture, because that's what makes a town cool. And you got to be cool in order to recruit talent, and Cook gets it. So when we were making Ms. White Light, I sat down with the president of Cook, and we started talking about what this company could do for Bloomington and what it could be and the kind of things that we needed. And one of our first ideas was, hey, let's build a studio. Because when we met with them, we had built a set in a warehouse on the south side of town, and literally in a giant warehouse with a tin roof, and every time it rained, we had to stop filming. We had these great actors in a warehouse on the south side of town. And the president had come there, and I said, we could do this. If we had a studio, we could do this more regularly here in town. So the conversation started. Now, mind you, I just keep reminding people that first conversation was 2014. And here we are in 2017 having this conversation about opening a studio. So this search began for a building. Cook already had a building that was vacant that they thought they could retrofit for our purpose. And planning began. Engineering and architecture, procuring equipment, and then, it started coming to life. And we had an idea that we could start teaching classes in this building and start training some people, also giving young people access to great gear and equipment to start creating, and helping young people in this part of the country understand that you don't have to be from a coast or even move to a coast to be able to create. You can do that right here in your backyard with the equipment that's available now. So we started an academy, the Bloomington Academy of Film and Theater. I had been teaching acting for film and theater for a long time in college and at the New York Film Academy. And so we just kind of co-opted that model and pulled all the best resources here in Bloomington, voice teachers and dance teachers, and screenwriters and actors and directors and cinematographers to come together and start teaching classes. So we opened that in February of this year. New classes are available online almost every week, and that started. So, that's kind of brings us to where we are. It started with a conversation. I guess my personal journey just kind of started with, being a first generation college student, you don't, you often feel that there's there's no guidance, so to speak. You don't really know what your path forward might be, and oftentimes you feel a little bit behind, like everybody else in college knows more than you do, and so you got to kind of find your own way. But the benefit to that is like this, that your pathway is completely open, and there is no yardstick with which to measure yourself by. So really, I just kind of had to find my way. I was raised by great parents with great values, so that helped. But I just had to find my way, and so it was really through the arts, through theater, that I found my scholarship, my discipline, my work ethic, and my intelligence. And then, as things start to happen in your life, and you realize that you're really not in control as much as you think. And when things happen, you just always have to walk through the open door in the room. There's many paths forward, and if a door shuts, then look for the open window. There's always a way. There's always a way forward. And so I just kind of did that throughout my life, and then it brought me to this place where still a lot of work, still a lot of humping to do, but I am doing work that I'm proud of in a place where I want to be, around people I want to be around, and it's really, really rewarding. So I'd say first bit of advice to young people, especially in this state, is that the best connections you're going to make in your life are the people sitting right next to you. So just make sure that you do right by people always. Your word is your bond. Don't make promises you can't keep. Come through, good work ethic. Do right by people always. No bad relationships in the world. There shouldn't be a single person who walks through the door in your life that you would go, what am I going to do? No bad relationships. So that's my first bit of advice. Second bit of advice is, again, there are dumb questions in the world, but there's no shame in asking them. Don't be afraid to ask questions to get the answers to the things that you need to do the things you want to do. And people are usually pretty patient and generous with their time. And if they're not people you want to really associate with anyway. And the last thing I'd say is to think globally about your life. When you're from Indiana, from the middle of America, oftentimes it feels like you're so far removed from big things, but you're really not. You can go to those places, you can go to big cities if you want to. It's just places where people live, and you can think big, but also you can make your own path, and there's no right way to do anything. So with that, Christina's telling me to open it up for some questions. I can do that, and let me know. Let's do some questions now, I guess, and then Christina, let me know when you want to do a little tour. It should take, I can do a quick one, about 5 minutes for a tour, whatever you like. So yeah, please feel free to toss out some questions, Christina. Or anyone who has questions. And again, for those of you tuning in, I'm doing a little talk for Hoosier Academies, where my cousin Christina teaches, talking to some students about my personal journey in life, my company's business, and movie making here in Indiana. The most famous person I've met. Oh boy, it's hard to. I guess it's hard to quantify. I mean, I've had a chance to meet some really awesome people. I met the former Secretary of Defense Robert Gates last week, that kind of blew my mind. But if you're talking about actors, I guess the actors that you've seen here in the movies, Danny Glover and Judith Light. and David Arquette. But I'd say that what's really been great is just how kind these people have been, and they're willing to come to the middle of America. John Ortiz, obviously, willing to come to the middle of America and do movies with us. So yeah, I find myself in interesting places, meeting some interesting people. Best people though are right here in Indiana, I got to tell you. Hey, Brooklyn's watching too. Next question. Why? Oh, the pig. That's pig, right. So my business partner, Zach, is a big John Steinbeck fan. And on the inside cover of John Steinbeck novels, there's a flying pig sketch and a quote that translates to lumbering soul striving to fly with plenty of wingspan. No, plenty of intention, but not enough wingspan. To the stars on the wings of a pig. So, we're making pigs fly every day. Our unofficial motto is, dreams aren't dumb. So that's where it comes from, and we thought it was pretty symbolic for the thing we were trying to accomplish. And we're all friends with the pig as well. Yeah, throw out your questions anytime. What area did I study? Oh, my degree programs. I started in the Bachelor of Music program, vocal performance at IU, but I ended up getting a bachelor's degree in musical theater, and I got my master's of fine arts in acting. That taught me a lot about how to be discipline, creativity, interpersonal communication, public speaking, obviously, and communication, expression, how to relate to people. Really, the study of acting is a study of empathy. You have to relate, you get cast in a role, and you have to ask yourself, why would a person behave this way, especially if they're a villain? So, yeah, I always encourage people to study the arts, study theater in some fashion, because it's going to teach you a lot about human nature. All right, here's a quick tour. Give you the nickel tour. We're here in the lobby. There's the Bloomington Academy of Film and Theater sign. Some of our swag. We have pretty soon available, lots of swag. Over here is our dance room, multi-purpose room. It's motion activated. There's the lights. Ballet bars. Yeah, we teach acting, screenwriting, dance, everything in that room. And then I'll take you into the main studio. So here's the main soundstage, which is, there's nothing like this in the state of Indiana. It's pretty remarkable. There's our unofficial motto. We've got a state-of-the-art DMX grid system. So all these lights are state-of-the-art. They're all wired through those pipes up there and on a dimmer system so we can focus them, change the color, anything we want. We can really turn this into a real movie studio. There's a projector system we have over here. Here's the dimmer system and computer. Some of our gear right here behind the flats. Some giant spots. Lots of great stuff. I will need my keys. Hang on a second. Let me go back to the lobby to get my keys. And while I'm walking, feel free to fire out some questions if you have any. Here are my keys. From here, I'll take you upstairs since we're here. And you can see the grid from up above. Which is pretty cool. You can see these pipes are wired themselves, and they're all what's called daisy chained back to this central system. And it goes down through the wall, which is pretty cool. Again, nothing like this in the state of Indiana. I'll take you to inside the office. We have a pretty major asset in here. we keep it behind several locked doors because it is also the only one in the state of Indiana. Oh, it's on location. Oh no, here it is. So this camera, this is the same model of camera they used to shoot the Avengers. It's called an ARRI Alexa LF, large format. And Zach, you're not allowed to watch this. My business partner is watching the video, and you're not allowed to, so get out. I won't tell you the sticker price of this camera, but if you Google it, you might get a little jaw-dropping. It's a pretty awesome asset to have, and having it allows us to lower production costs. So when we film a movie, the camera rents for about $1,000 a day. So that's a major expense that we can forego. Let me sure lock that door. Separate keys, alarm, great insurance. So one more level, I'm going to show you the basement, which we've decked out to be pretty awesome. Do you have classes? Most of our classes are for high schoolers. We really go through pre-K through adults. So we have everything: acting, filmmaking, dance, musical theater, cinematography. So if you go to www.thebaft.org, you can see all the class listings. New classes will begin, I think, the second or third week of January. So have a look. Here is one of our gear closets. It's pretty awesome. All this stuff is top of the line. This is the tripod for the big camera. I mean, each leg has 4 rails. You could fire a Gatling gun off that thing. It's incredible. So we have great gear we can really use to make anything. Zach, I'm coming to the basement. All right. So the basement's the full size of the building. So here is our post-production and animation lab. We do CGI, VFX, animation for all ages down here. And this is where we go. I tend to take lots of naps down here. Our lighted sign isn't up right now. The lights are pretty cool down here when the fluorescents aren't on, but that normally says dream. And when we go up the other side, here's our cage with some more gear for movie making. And I will head up the backside stairs, which takes us right back up into the backside of the studio. So there we are again. Yeah. So we do commercial work in here. We rent this space. We rent the gear. We teach classes. We film movies. And yeah, we're just working to make this lasting and something that the community really responds to. So I think that's the long and short of it, Christina. I guess I guess I kind of summarized already. But if anyone has any more questions, feel free to email me. My email is my full name, which is John Robert Armstrong at PigasusPictures.com. Pretty easy to find on our website. Please visit the websites. There are films there you can see, classes you can register for, and definitely social media. We announce opportunities to be extras in movies, new classes at Pigasus Pictures and the BAFT on all the social media. So I guess that's it. Thank you so much, Christina, for having me do this today. Thank you guys for your attention. And again, drop me a line if you have any questions. Thanks, everybody. Let's get out of here.